So what is next? Today we're going to be using Krillin straight from the draft box. And if you don't know, now you know. When he attacks, his auto is take one card from your life and then draw one card. So he is a self-awakening leader. So by turn 4, you should be awakened if you've been attacking. And then when you get to 4 life or less, you want to untap 1, flip this card over and he turns into Stormfist Krillin. And one of his autos is if you attack, you draw one card, and his second auto, when you end your turn, draw one card. And he does have an active main. Once per turn, choose one card, put it to the drop area. He gets 5,000 attack power in critical for the duration of the turn. So this is a red-blue aggro style deck. So we do want to try to put as much pressure on our opponent early on and try to capitalize by turn 3 and end the game by turn 4. So we're going to start off by playing 2 Fortune Teller Baba Earthseers, and the reason why we play this card is because when you play this card, you get to choose one Earthling battle card or leader card, and he gets 5,000 attack power for a duration of turn. Our leader is Earthlings. We do play a few Earthling battle cards, but we're always going to have a target simply because our leader is an Earthling. And when you combo with Baba, you draw one card and you get the minus 5,000 attack power to your opponent's battle card. So it does put a little bit added pressure to your opponent, and it does get rid of blockers, such small things like blockers and little combo pieces and things like that. So for added self-awakening measures, we do have an anticipating power trunks, because we do want to try to awaken as fast as we can just to try to get him to that Stormfist Krillin side, because at the end of your turn you draw one, and when he attacks you draw another, and he just gets a lot more pluses. So we're going to play 4 anticipating power trunks. Once card attacks, you take one card from your life, and he gets 10,000 attack power in critical. So he does add that pressure on for your opponent to either take that crit life or lose cards from his hand to try to combo out. Then to add more pressure, we're going to be playing Saiyan Kappa. Uh, does the same thing as intensifying power trunks. When it attacks, take one card from life and gets 10,000 attack power, but instead of getting critical, you get the double strike. And the reason why we only play 2 of him and not and then more intensifying power trunks, 4 of the intensifying power trunks, is because we actually want Saiyan Kaba late game. We don't really want him to see him early game. We don't really want to try to play him early game unless we have to. It's simply because we don't want to really want to add cards to our opponent's hand unless we need to, unless we're trying to finish the game. We would rather take the intensifying power trunks as critical pressure than the Saiyan Kabba's double strike pressure early in the game. But speaking about the double strike in game enders, we do play 2 further destruction Champas, which basically when we combo him, we get to add double strike skill to any one of our cards. And since we do have an evolve target, we have a chain attack trunks, so we can evolve it over intensifying power trunks, just so we can get that, just so we can get his auto when we play him. We get to bring out a battle card that's 15,000 attack power or less, and from our hand and play it. And since we do want to kind of end the game by turn 4, we're going to be playing Foreseeing Hit, just so we can try to capitalize as much as we can and then try to finish them off. Because when we play Foreseeing Head, we get to look at our opponent's entire hand, and we get to remove 2 battle cards, 35,000 attack power or less. So we can kind of just add everything up in their hand. We can try to kind of see their plays or defense, and if we can't get game that turn, we can try to stop them from doing their plays next turn. So for added measures, we do play Pride in Justice Top, just for more counter plays as well, because his permanent does allow us to play him for 2 energy if one of yours or your opponent's leader card is at 15,000 attack power or more. He also is a blocker killer, because when he KOs a battle card, he gets switched back to active mode, so that's pretty nice. So just for added protection and for more extension to try to go for game, we play 4 of the Unbreakable Super Saiyan Son Gokus. When we combo with him, we just draw 1 card. So we also get the 10,000 attack power. So it's kind of a super combo in its own nature. It just costs 1 energy to do it. But more super combos, the better, right? Then for super combos, we play North Kai Keeping Watch, and He's one of the newer super combos, so he always gets a 10,000 attack power, which is good. There's are situations where you want to use that if you kind of overextend so much by like turn 2 or even like turn 1. If your opponent went first, you kind of want to protect yourself as much as you can, just so you don't get to that situation where you're at 2 life and you're you're fearing that double strike if they had it. So we do play the 4 or less. Super combo other than over the sparking super combo is just because we typically get to 4 life, or we typically become awakened by turn 2 or turn 3, so the sparking effect is kind of useless at that point. And we do play overwhelm, so it kind of puts us in that situation where we won't get that extra draw if we played it just because we played overwhelm first. um, since we are running a blue leader, we are going to be playing Unyielding Spirit Trunks just so we can extend our plays. When we combo with him, we switch one, and it's our turn, of course, and we switch one energy to active mode. And just for a more board presence, we're going to be playing 3 other Raging Spirit Sun Gohans, which is really nice because when your opponent attacks you, and you combo with him, you get not only a 10,000 attack power, but you get to play him after you combo just for 1 energy. So it's protection and then also it's defense and also offense at the same time. And since we're playing the chain attack Trunks, we're also going to combo with Zeno, the playing god. And things about Zeno, he kind of just resets the field and resets the game altogether, because when uh, we play him, we just send all our cards back to your hand and all the cards back to your field, back to your deck, and then we shuffle our decks, and then we draw another 5 off that. He also negates all the skills on the field first, just so they can't really play anything or counter anything, which is really nice right there. It kind of gives you the game ender, or if you're stuck behind a wall, if your opponent's playing a lot of defense, or they just got a lot of board presence, you kind of just restart everything and start at the beginning, kind of make it fair, kind of make it even. And then for our game enders and finishers, we play 4 overwhelm cards. We play 2 dimensional banisher foods and 2 scientist foods. We play dimensional banisher food is because we do want some board removal outside of Zeno, just in case. Just in case there's a couple big boss monsters or big boss battle cards out there that we just can't get around first. And it does have double strike, so it can get game, and it gets rid of blockers that don't have barrier, which is really nice. And then just in case we're playing some hand destruction um, decks like Cell or anything like that, we have Scientist Food, so it gives us that +2 when we play them. So it just kind of adds more support in our hand, more arsenal in our hand to try to go for game that turn. He does have double strike too, which is nice. And they both get play for one energy. If you have the overwhelm to play it, the card in your drop area to play it, and try to get around those smaller cards and try to add more pressure on your opponent. We do play Planet M2. It also gets around blockers when we attack during our battle. And then if it's our turn, we can switch this card to rest mode and then -1 leader card or battle card on our opponent's side. And then we're playing a blue leader, and we're going to play that 1 legendary flute. Lets us bounce back one of our 3 or less battle cards and draw 1 card, or it lets you bounce back your opponent's battle card as well. So if you want to try to finish them off, if they have a blocker or anything like that, we can kind of just use the legendary flute for 0 energy, bounce back that blocker or anything, and then attack our opponent trying to go for game. And then for our counters, we use 4 dimensional magics, simply because it's a sparking counter. There's going to be a lot of times where we do overextend to try to go for game. We don't get game, and we kind of want to have protection because we're going to be all tapped out. Dimensional magic allows us, if we have 5 cards in our drop area, allows us to still have protection, reactivate our cards, hopefully have some like Raging Spirit Sun Goku's or Gohans in our hand, or some Unbreakable Super Saiyan Sun Goku's in our hand. That way we can use those 2 active energies if we have blue. So this only untaps blue energy, but we do want to at least charge 1 blue energy just so we can use our next card, which is Senzu Bean. We play 4 Senzu Beans just because it's really good for offensive. Not only does it give you 5,000 attack power for a duration of turn, it can use well in offensively, and then you untap two energies, any two energies, which is really nice. And then if you're, so it's really good for offense, but then if you're going to attack or anything like that for defense, it lets you get 5,000 attack power for a duration of turn, untaps your energy, so we can use like our Unbreakable Sun Gokus and our Raging Sun Gokus, our Raging Spirit Sun Gohans over again as well. So that's my red blue aggro deck. It does pretty well, obviously, against like things like Shinron or even against like decks that take a while to kind of ramp up or things like that. It does well against like even Janimba or stall decks just because it kind of put so much pressure on them in the beginning. They can't really get their setups down. Um, so that's a really good thing about that. It does have a nice little play style, but if you're not really used to the aggressive play style, the aggro play style, then this deck might not be for you. But when you're playing with it, you kind of have a nice go hand advantage. Like one drawback, like against like Cell or anything like that, it's kind of hard to go against Cell, but you can replenish well, which is really good. So when they drop you to that 3 cards in your hand, and then obviously they want to starve you, so they won't attack you. But at that point, you're already going to be awakened, so they might want to attack you. Either or, you just don't want to. When I play against Cell, I don't want to awaken too early at that point, because I can get pressured by them as well, by the big cell, the perfect cells, because I have 30, double strike and 30,000 attack power. It's really hard to get around. But I allow them to awaken me or awaken on my turns or after they've already dropped their cell. Things are like against Janimbo and everything like that, I kind of just I force a lot of pressure onto them, try to get them down as low life as possible because they like to protect their life. Things like Storm or anything like that, you just kind of want to put a lot of pressure on them too. I mean, a lot of times I kind of want to save my life, but just remember to charge a blue energy as fast as you can, just so you can play that Senzu Bean, because Senzu Bean will save your life against Storm. It will give you another turn. But they obviously will shut you down with like Nimbus and things like that. So it's going to be a tough matchup regardless. But since they strike themselves so much with like Bardock and everything, you have a better shot of kind of getting them to a low life percentage if you can stop them, if you can stop their first and couple initial attacks. I don't play any commies or anything like that, just because it slows down my deck progress. I don't play any of like the Crisis Crushers or Dendays, just because I want to try to make this deck as strong as possible, trying to get the combos off as fast as possible, awaken as fast as possible. But a couple of changes I would make to the deck is adding 2 more foreseeing hits, maybe 1 more chain attack trunks, take out like some of the banishers or the overwhelm cards, like 2 of the banisher foods or 2 of the scientist foods, or even like some of the pride and justice tops. Maybe add a couple more Saiyan Cabos, take out the little fortune teller Babas. Like this is all a couple of these cards are situational. Like Planet M2 is, I believe, is a must-have, but I don't really need to run so many overwhelm cards, and I don't really need to run top so much. Um, but the reason, if I play more of Chain Attack Trunks, just because I can clear the field better. But the reason why I like to run top and Fortune Teller Baba and even Banisher Foods, these 6, it's because like I don't really like blockers. Like blockers really do slow me down in this deck, because I'll attack, and then obviously how the game works, you take your auto first and then they can choose to block. So it's like you'll take a life just for basically to kill a 5,000 attack block or anything. So Planet M2 uh, gets over that later in the game, obviously, because it's after its attack battle. But like if I swing, don't take a life, and then they don't decide to block, I can kill them with Planet M2 and be like, hey, you should have blocked. Same thing with Fortune Tower Baba. If they don't block or anything like that, I can just combo with Fortune Tower Baba, kill their blockers, and then if they decide to block with Pride and Justice top, then I can kill their blockers, switch to active mode, and then have Dimension Banisher Food to remove them. So pretty much that's my red blue Stormfist Krillin deck. I pretty much like it. I like playing it. It's heavily competitive against the majority of the decks. It does pretty well, but like I said, if you make a couple of changes, like with Foreseeing Head, add a few more of those guys, and take out some of the more blocker cautious cards and add just more pressure cards, then you can really focus 100% on the aggro. You'll probably be done by turn 3 or turn 4. Like your game wouldn't go that long, just because you'll either kill yourself or you'll kill your opponent. So it is a double-edged sword. But thanks again for watching my video. Hope to see you guys next time.